All right, what do we got here? I saw this one. This one was right up my alley. Zero Hedge. Leaving Illinois. Does anybody care about people like us? Says this older, I should say, retired couple. And I always talk about Illinois. I talk about New Jersey. I talk about New York. I talk about California. All these liberal, Democratic run states, how they're trying to get people to stay. They're trying to get, if you're moving out, we're going to tax you. We're going to do this. My favorite story was, I think, New Jersey so far. That's my favorite. The billionaire, I don't know if it was a hedge fund guy or whatever I think he was, said, I'm tired of paying these massive taxes here. I got income tax, plus I've got state income tax. I've had enough. So I think he moved down to Florida, if I recall, where we don't have a state income tax. And the state had to change the budget that they already had set because that one man left. And that's how much millions they were getting off this guy. They had to redo the damn budget. One individual left the state. Oh, we got to fix the whole budget. Are you kidding me? If that's not a sign of what the hell are we doing here? These idiots in charge, I should say. I don't know what is. But other similar states that have similar nonsense laws and taxes and fees and everything that are just getting out of control, Illinois is one of those. Authored by Ted Dabrowski and John Klingner via wirepoints.org. Don and Paula Parker. See, Don and Paula Parker did the reversal. They should have done this backwards, and they didn't. But hear me out. Don and Paula Parker aren't your normal, typical seniors. After living the last 20 years in Florida, they recently retired to Illinois. See, when I said that they need to flip that, that's what they got wrong. It should have read something like they were in Illinois for the last 20 years, they had effing enough, and they moved to Florida to retire. But they actually lived in Florida first, and then went into a liberal Democrat state, and are now a little bit upset. What do we have here? The Parkers were born and raised in Rockford, Illinois. Don ran a house painting business in the Rockford area for many years, while Paula worked in an unemployment office. In their late 30s, they moved to northern Wisconsin, where Don was in law enforcement. And 15 years later, they moved to Florida, where Don was self-employed as a handyman, and Paula worked full-time in healthcare. When it was finally time to retire, they decided to come home, to be near family. In 2016, they left sunny Florida for a place in Poplar Grove, Illinois, just outside of Rockford. Now, 3 years later, they're experiencing what we might call buyer's regret. Not because of the weather, but because they don't know if they can afford to stay in Illinois. Now, there is a YouTube video in this link that looks like it's him leaving Illinois. Why does anybody care? I'm not going to play it. I'll let you click on that if you want to hear what the old fella has to say. But one of his quotes, "We're getting by right now, kind of barely. But it seems like no one cares about people like us, seniors and lower income people, when it comes to all these new taxes and rising fees." End quote. Don reached out after attending a town hall meeting in Rockford, where WirePoints and the union-backed CTBA debated Governor J.B. Pritzker's proposed progressive income tax. Again, we need a new kind of tax. Don was frustrated by the pro-tax arguments he kept hearing. When we met with Don, it became obvious he follows closely what goes on in the State House. He pulled out a long list of tax hikes that the state and his local governments are actually planning to do. He opened up with Illinois' recent 19 cents gas tax hike, and then proceeded to reel off the rest of them. We're talking about the bag tax, a progressive tax, a rain tax, a mileage tax, a TV tax, a beer and tobacco tax, a farm tax, a parking tax, a car trade-in tax. He said, "It's concerning to people like us, and it's not just me. It's many other seniors we've talked to and some lower income people. They don't know what they're going to do. They can't plan for the future. Can they stay Do they have to leave the state? And we're in that same boat. We don't know either, he said. They have a little chart here from our points. Illinoisians face one of the nation's highest tax burdens. Annual state and local taxes on state households adjusted rank based on cost of living from 2019. This would be the lower number, so first place would be the worst, fifth place would be the best, or actually put 50th would be the best. But he's just showing you the top 5. So out of 50, the best place to live would be number 50. And their source was Wallet Hub, but he's like, take a look at the top 5. And I'm going to ask you guys, you're going to have to think hard about this. So I don't want to, get too quick to the next question here, because I really want you to think hard on this answer. I don't want you to get it wrong, and it might take you maybe a quarter of 1 second to have the answer. Do you think the states I'm about to rattle off to you are Democrat stronghold states? Oh, you already answered? Okay. From worst to not as bad. But again, out of 50, I'm going to read off the top 5 because that's all he's got here. In other words, the top 5, they're all terrible. Worse than terrible. Number 1, start spreading the news. I'm leaving today. Yeah, you should. New York. Number 2. Hi, number 2. Connecticut. Number 3, you just heard about it, Illinois. Number 4, Rhode Island, and then we have New Jersey. Up and down, down in Jersey. All those new taxes would pile on top of the burden Illinoisians already pay, one of the nation's overall highest burdens, according to a recent analysis by Wallet Hub. But the situation is even worse for people like Don and Paula. I had a little song coming on that, but it doesn't fit, but it still came in, so I got to give it to you. Don and Paula. Oh, Donna. Oh, it's not Don, it's Don. But Paula, when I said Don and Paula, the Paula part, because it's like, oh, Donna, Paula, that's what triggered my riffraff. I do have a riffraff spirit guide somewhere out there. And I've got some good ones, but I've got one that's a riffraff one that always comes in and here, do a song real quick. No, I'm trying to tell them about some interesting statistics. Oh, but it reminds you of oh, Donna. Go ahead and sing it. Well, if I don't, it'll just sit there and fester, and then I get, it's kind of that itch. It's kind of itching. We can't really reach it. Oh, it'll go away, and it gets, I gotta itch it. Oh my God, and that happens, and I don't want to get way down in the paragraph, and then sing it when it doesn't make sense anymore. So you follow how my brain works here? All right, just making sure. So, but the situation is even worse for people like Don and Paula, whose fixed incomes don't grow much, if at all. Right? We're retired. We have the Social Security. Well, the Fed's numbers this year showed we didn't really have too much inflation, so you're not getting a raise on your, your Social Security. Well, the price of food's up pretty good, and gasoline's back up again, and we got 50,000 taxes and gasoline again. So, regardless of whether the prices I'm paying are higher, you sure we don't have a cost of living adjustment? No, Federal Reserve data. What data do they look at? They use 20 different metrics to gauge this. Really? Let me go look at that, because I did go look at this years ago, and I found out they have this metric, and when one or two or whatever those things become worse than terrible and it's effing up their metrics, get rid of the 2 things. Don't leave them in there. Nope. Get rid of them and put 2 more back in there. It's kind of like the Dow Jones. Oh, Dow Jones is up today. We got the Coca-Cola and Pepsi. Oh, Pepsi sucks. Get rid of Pepsi. Put GE in there instead. All right. Yeah. We're good again. Well, that might make sense in the stock world. But it doesn't make sense when I'm trying to figure out how much damn money I'm spending and why I can't get a raise in, Social Security if I'm an older folk, relying on that. And I'm looking at the data. Well, you changed the data. No wonder why you said it looks okay. You don't even count for food and energy? Ever? You removed that, one of the first things you removed, and never put it back? Yeah, we don't need to look at that. Well, those are the 2 most important things you should look at. Well, no, we don't need to see that. And then, okay, the metrics are working. Look, we don't have much inflation. Everything's good. Oh, crap. A couple more things are sucking right now. Get those out of there. And I found out that they changed it a whole bunch of times, year after year, or a few years, a couple years, and then oh, change it again. Oh, change it again. It's just a rotating nonsense. Oh, just take some stuff in. If it doesn't fit the picture we want to paint, we just change it. Just change the data. That's it. That's all you got to do, man. Unbelievable. Quote, if our real estate tax goes up, we're going to have to move. We are not going to have any choice. And that we don't want to do, but we have to. I'll tell you, we don't want to move. End quote. The tax situation is impossible for many across the state. Illinoisans already pay the nation's second highest property taxes when based on home values. It's second, only to Jersey. And then we have, what is that? Is that New Hampshire, Connecticut, yeah. Wyoming? Although Texas is up there too as far as taxes go. Texas, Vermont, Nebraska, New York, Rhode Island. Where's old Florida? Oh, Florida is way the hell down there. Now you know why I like it over here, man. Moving on. As for Governor J.B. Pritzker's progressive tax panacea, Don just doesn't buy into the governor's promises. He says, to me, if anybody swallows that bait hook, line and sinker, they need to do some fact checking. It's not as rosy as they present it if you look down the road a little bit. End quote. What disappoints Don the most is how politicians seem to ignore struggling seniors. He sent messages to Governor Pritzker and House Speaker Mike Madigan in the past, asking them what he and Paula should do. Don has not gotten a reply, not even the automatic email response. Quote, do they care? Do any of them care about people like us? Do they want us to move? Do they want us out of the state? Why aren't people like us thought of? It's a very sad situation. That's what he said. And now let's think about this. He's barely surviving, and they're going to just tear him to pieces with taxes. Even though he's barely surviving, he still lives. He still has to pay for gas. He still has to go buy groceries. He has bills to pay, electric and everything else. And the state's getting their little fees, that even maybe smaller on his scale, because he's retired now. They probably don't spend like a younger family. It's just him and his wife. But nonetheless, they're pitching in something. The state is collecting something off of them under current circumstances, the way everything is now without the new taxes. So the state is using okay, well, you are some income to us, so thanks. So what he's essentially saying is, don't you care? What if we move? Now you lose us for good. Who's going to replace us? So tax money's leaving as you hammer down more taxes. And what does government do? They'll hammer down even more. Well, we lost 10% of the population over the last 5 years, so we got to make up for that. More taxes will come. It's the same story I've told you about. In 2006, 7, 8, all that bull crap, the housing crash. Go get a condo. Yeah, condo. Pay the HOA, the condo fee crap, whatever. Oh, yeah, okay. $100 a month, I'll deal with that. I get to have the pool. They do the lawn for me. Hey, I'll pay $100 a month for that. Yeah, heck yeah. And then people started moving out. Foreclosure, can't afford it, I'm out. Where's the condo company or whatever they do? Oh, well, the property manager. Well, we lost 25% of our people. We got to raise the thing up 25%. Now he's paying 125. Oh, now it's 150. I thought he told me it got as insane as somewhere near $300 from $100. I thought he said it was like 250 or 2 something almost. Maybe it did hit 3. And I'm like, and there's no recourse, is there? He goes, no, because all the bills that they have to pay it. They've got to pay the landscaping people. They've got to pay that. They're obligated too. So the only people who stayed and didn't F their credit up and leave and foreclose on, we got stuck with the bill. Those people got stuck with the bill. And I was one of them. He's like, I said, the hell with it. I left. So what was the answer? We got to tax more people. Get the hell out of these democratic states and cities and places. They're going to bleed you dry. Take care.